Good morning.
Hi, everyone. So I started asking Tina again about some of her learning from her intensive writing weekend last weekend. And then I was like, ooh, maybe we should just have this conversation live. And,
Yeah.
and I had a really, well, I'll let you talk about the three books, not one, because that is a way of getting off track, maybe. It's like you can't write three books at once, you have to write one book at once.
Well, welcome to the Friday Backpack. This is an interview conversation with journalist Mary Beth Dean and her subject and her
My,
writing partner,
my burning
Tina Oberstein.
curiosity that won't let me introduce this whole thing.
Yeah, this is a real-time conversation. As Mary Beth really is as my coach as I'm catching her up on my writing weekends. Let's just start from the beginning, Mary Beth.
Right. So, Tina, did you almost get off track this weekend when you realized you had three books in you and they all like reared their head and they were like, "Write me, Tina, write me." Is that what happened?
Well, it wasn't until I got to the end of the weekend and um I wasn't confused. I was just like I was so full and I could hear in my head that I've said this to other writers too, that often by the time you get down by the time you sit down, unless you've been writing forever or whatever, by the time you finally write that damn book that you said you're going to write your whole life, it's not just one book anymore. There's usually three. There's usually three. There's something what usually shows up is there's something autobiographical. There's something sort of thought leadership in you, and there's some sort of instructional manual. And they're all in there at the same time. And sometimes they come together in one book, but usually it's not. And so how do you know which one to start with? And so what happened for me was the initial impulse of writing Core Story was that I had done all this work with people for a number of years, and these 12 core stories emerged. And I was looking for a way to tell those stories, which then led me into this. I use this metaphor in core story work that we come into the world like a story stone with our divine narrative tucked inside. And then I heard somebody else say that we are stardust. And I was like, okay, I've heard that. What does that even mean? Which then took me down this other road. And then that core story stone piece took me into um, core stories for countries. My brain started to go that way, which then led me to indigenous ancestral knowledge, which then got me into stone circles. And so like this, and so now I'm in this place with all of these fascinations that actually all intersect. But I started to recognize, like a reader can only understand so much, and a writer can only understand so much. And for sure, I'm a writer that always puts in multi-layers. I'm a writer that risks losing my reader and then wraps it all up in places. I know that about my style, but I was starting to get to a place where I was like, if I really want to serve this subject with integrity, it has to be more than just research. It might be a book of its own. So then I was like, and then I was like, okay, with my reader, for them to even care about this soul journey thing I'm doing with the soul as a supernova, so comparing the soul journey with the life of a star, they might need to understand just my 12 core stories first. And what would it be like if that was enough?
So, boom, full circle, right into your structure, Tina. You've had that structure for, I don't know, 3 years.
Yep. Yep. And so I think what's great about it, if you were in on Tuesday night's conversation about research, that, at any point the research could drown me, right? Or I could stay with it until it does come full circle. Because I think when we're curious for an answer, it will come full circle.
Right. And then it's kind of like people always ask us, well, when do I know that I'm done my first draft? Well, you'll probably come full circle or something like that.
Yeah, because you know what? Because I'm on the second draft, and it was as I started to fill in the holes, which is what we do in our second draft, that I got excited about these other things. And so yeah, my first draft was is all I could go, all I could do. And now the second draft is starting to feel top heavy. And I'm like, because now I'm moving into third draft, which is when you start rooting. And I just started to see, yeah, there's actually too many pillars here. I'm trying to hold up too many houses. I only need to hold up one house.
But that's okay. You can put away some other houses for later.
That's right. That's right.
Nothing
Yeah,
is lost.
let's keep digging around in here though, because you and I have been writing for a long time. So I know for me, I have a sense when things tip and when it's time to come back to basics, but not everybody would know that.
Mm.
Not everyone would know what that feels like, you know?
Well, I don't know. For you, you described a feeling not of being lost, but maybe of being disoriented a little bit, right?
Which is quite common for me in my writing
What
process.
am I doing here? And I think, yeah, we talk all the time about getting lost in the woods, which is kind of why
Mhm.
we make people a little bit uncomfortable sometimes.
Yeah.
We embrace that. But I also think that's kind of the whole point, right? Like, yes, we have this structure. Yes, we're on track. But, as you were saying before, creative alchemy is
Mhm.
going to lead us into new and sometimes scary feeling waters. Like, I
Mhm.
wonder, I would love to ask this question to someone like Malcolm Gladwell, who looks like he writes straight up from a formula,
Right.
right? Does he
Yeah.
ever get off track? I'd love to know. I'm going to look that up.
Oh,
I'm going to
look,
look up some.
I'm sure he gets off track. In fact, I think his whole book is off track until it comes on track. I think he
Exactly.
starts.
He is off track until he goes, aha.
Yeah.
And then he throws out a year's worth of research.
Yeah. Okay, that's to me, that's the backpack moment right there, which is you get off track until you get that aha. And I think that the medicine I'm going to say that you're offering to us, Mary Beth, is to trust, like to trust that you will have an aha.
All right. And I just want to offer one more piece here. And I think it's, we are so results driven in our culture, so many of us. We want to accomplish something. We are not, most of us, as much as we might enjoy process, it makes us nervous because we've got limited time here on planet Earth, etc. So maybe I'll just kick this over to you again. How do you find the ability to be safe in that process that sometimes feels like you're not going in the right direction or you just don't know?
Well, I think the thing about me is I'm a total context junkie. Like, I don't do anything without a context unless unless the context is meh, don't actually care where this is going. Meh, I'm just going to see whatever. Meh, because then it doesn't matter. So for me, my safety comes from what is this hour all about? Right? It's all context. It's all about it goes down to what am I writing this for?
Hmm.
So my aha will happen as long as I stay rooted in what am I writing this for? So then I'm not actually ever lost. I might be lost in a forest, but I'm not lost in a random forest. I'm lost in the forest of the context I'm actually already setting, right?
So would you say that that's your stake? That's your stake in the ground.
Yep.
I am Tina, and this is what matters to me.
Yeah, this is what this book is about. I might go over here, but it's always tethered. It's tethered to what it's about. So that's my safety container. I also will say that my other safety container is I hate not finishing things. I hate it. And I don't have to finish the whole book in one go, but I'm going to sit down. And if I have a thought, I have to finish the thought before I'll stop. Because if I don't, I know for me, I'll lose the thought,
It makes me bananas. I hate losing thoughts.
right?
Yeah.
So that's safety for me too. And I get that when your life is busy like Mary Beth, because your kids are young, sometimes the safety container is time. It's like I have 20 minutes to write and that's it.
Did you notice me at the writing retreat? Yeah, yeah. I'll be there.
Just a-
Really gotta take advantage of this moment. Anyways, it's that those little bits of gratification and knowing, I think for me it's breaking it down into pieces and be like, yeah, I got that piece. And there's maybe a bit of personal satisfaction or learning or curiosity fulfilled from some little piece
Mm.
or creative expression fulfilled.
Hmm. So for your backpack today, because we did this sort of interview style, I think I want to circle back and say one thing in your backpack is trust there's an aha inside of you. Keep writing and exploring and know that when it's time to stop, you'll just know. And then the second thing, Mary Beth, you asked about safety. What do you need to feel safe exploring? And that's for you as a writer. What do you need to feel safe? Safe just means like safe to explore, safe to, let your hair down, whatever, check your brain at the door and just write. What do you need? For me, it was context. And you offered a stake in the ground. Put a stake in the ground. Hmm. And if you don't have that, put a time limit on it. Say I got 20 minutes today. Ooh, that's a good one.
All right. Well, thank you. And we will see you soon if you are going to be joining us this morning for a writing group.
All right, everybody. Happy Friday.